What's going on, Eagles Nation? Welcome back to the channel that keeps you soaring high with everything about the birds. Today we've got a lot to break down, and trust me, you don't want to miss any of it. We're talking about A.J. Brown and his fire to be great, the possibility of Cooper Dean lining up on the outside, and the move that might just turn this defense upside down. Oh, and yes, Kevin Patchello may have cracked the code that's putting every defensive coordinator in panic mode. But before we jump into that madness, we got to talk about something important. C.J. Gardner-Johnson officially landing with the Chicago Bears. That's right, man. C.J.'s heading to the Windy City, and it looks like we'll be seeing him real soon when the Eagles roll into Chicago for that Black Friday showdown. Word is he might even hit the field this coming Sunday, which means he's getting back in action fast. You know, it's crazy because for a while there, it looked like nobody was going to pick him up. It was getting spooky, like, is C.J. really going to sit out? But man, the guy found a spot, and that's what matters. Say what you want, but once an Eagle, always an Eagle. That man will always be a champion in Philly hearts. Respect to him for grinding through, even if it didn't work out for him to stay here. He's got that dog in him, and he's earned every bit of respect from this fan base. Best of luck, CJ, just not against us, of course. Now, let's shift gears to the quarterback who keeps this entire thing rolling, Jalen Hurts. It's becoming clear that he's starting to build some serious trust in that wide receiver 3 spot, which is something we haven't seen from him in a long time. Remember last season, when it seemed like he didn't even want to look that direction? It was like once those big drops from Quez Watkins happened, Hurts just mentally checked out from ever going there again. And can you blame him? You think back even further, Jalen Reagor, same story, big moments, big drops. That kind of stuff leaves a scar, especially for a quarterback who values ball security like Hurts does. But this year, different story. Jahan Dotson has come in and shown reliability that's been missing. The dude might not be the biggest or the flashiest, but he's making plays and proving to Hurts that he can be counted on when it matters most. And that's where Howie Roseman comes into the picture, because when Howie makes a move, it's never random. That trade bringing in Michael Carter too says everything about how this front office thinks. I know a lot of fans wanted an edge rusher, and yeah, I get it, pressure wins games, but Howie went out and got a nickel corner. That tells me he's looking at the long game. Carter's a physical player, kind of like Cooper Dean, but with a bit of that wild streak. Sometimes he's right where he needs to be, and other times, you're sitting there wondering what he saw on that play. That inconsistency was part of why things went south for him in New York. Still, the man has talent. A couple of years ago, he was considered one of the top slot corners in the league. To get a guy like that for cheap, especially when he literally gave up his injury guarantees, around $5 million, just to get out of the Jets and come to Philly, that says something. You don't walk away from that kind of money unless you really believe this is where you can turn things around. Now, from what I've seen on tape, Carter's game is all about contact. He's that see ball, hit ball type of player, the kind of nickel who's not afraid to mix it up with linemen, take on blocks, and deliver hits. That's what makes him exciting. But at the same time, his biggest weakness is awareness. Sometimes you can tell he's not fully sure whether he's in man or zone. That's the kind of stuff that can kill a defense if it's not cleaned up. There's this one play that sticks in my head. Aaron Rodgers called a little bubble screen, and instead of closing in on the receiver's hip and cutting him off, Carter overran the play completely. Boom, 31 yards down the field. It's like, bro, you got to make that tackle in space. Those lapses are what got the Jets saying, yeah, we might be done here. But here's the flip side. When the guy's locked in, he's a missile. He plays with elite effort. You'll never see him jog or give up on a rep. And in Philly, effort means everything. You can teach positioning, you can fix communication, but you can't coach heart. And Carter's got that. So this move might be less about replacing someone right now and more about preparing for the future. Think about it. If Khalil Ringo doesn't develop the way they hope, if Adoree Jackson keeps struggling with injuries, or if Ja'Cory Bennett can't hold down that outside spot, then having someone like Carter in the mix becomes insurance. He might not be the full-time nickel right away, but he's a safety net. And if things go south, don't be shocked if we see Cooper Dean push to the outside more permanently while Carter slides into the nickel role. That's the chess game Howie's playing. It's not about one move, it's about the ripple effect. You fix one position today, so you don't have to panic tomorrow. And according to what's coming out of the building, Howie's not done yet. This trade could just be the first domino. I wouldn't be surprised if he still goes hunting for an edge rusher before the deadline. That man's always got something cooking. Now, speaking of cooking, let's talk about A.J. Brown, because man, he's been the headline every week. And not just for what he's doing on the field, but for the fire that's clearly burning inside him. There's this constant tension between wanting to win and wanting to dominate individually, and A.J. embodies that. He's not just out there running routes, he's chasing greatness. This is a dude who had one of the craziest stretches in 2023, putting up 120-plus yards in multiple games, even breaking Megatron's record. But even then, he wasn't satisfied. Because to him, numbers don't mean much if the team isn't winning the way he thinks they should be. Then fast forward to this season. The Eagles win, but A.J. only gets 2 catches for 7 yards. Now he's frustrated again. It's not about being selfish. It's about wanting to be the best while also winning at the highest level. And honestly, you can't hate that mindset. Still, where it gets messy is when that frustration spills over onto social media. When you tweet something vague or drop a cryptic post, the media is going to run with it. Then the fans jump in, the reporters jump in, and suddenly there's a whole storm about locker room chemistry. Devonta Smith's been through similar feelings. He wants his targets too, but you never see him airing that stuff out. He stays calm, handles it professionally, and lets his play speak for him. A.J., on the other hand, wears his emotions out loud. And when you're one of the top guys in a city like Philly, everything you say gets amplified. I get it though. Receivers are wired differently. They want the ball, they want the spotlight, and they want to feel like their work is paying off. It's part of what makes them elite, but it can also make things complicated. What I actually liked about that recent article that dropped about A.J. is how it showed his human side. It talked about the internal battle he faces, wanting to win with his brothers, but also wanting his impact to be felt. It touched on the stuff he's carried since childhood, the motivation that drives him, and why he's so intense about his craft. It reminded fans that beneath the swagger and the passion, there's a guy who just wants to be great and to feel valued. It's not about ego, it's about purpose. At the same time, this is football. Production equals paychecks. A.J. himself said it before on Gilly's podcast. Your stats define how teams see you, how they pay you, and how long you stick around. That's just the reality. So when he's not getting targets, it's not just pride, it's business. Imagine being one of the top receivers in the league, but the team's winning without you putting up big numbers. You'd start wondering, if we can win without me producing, what's stopping them from moving on? That's the logic behind it. It's not selfish, it's survival. And that's where the Eagles are so interesting, because their talent pool is ridiculous. You've got Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley in the backfield, and Jalen Hurts running the show. There's only one football, and when everyone's capable of taking over, someone's numbers are going to dip. The challenge for this coaching staff is keeping that balance, making sure everyone feels involved while still sticking to what works. So yeah, A.J. Brown's passion might rub some people the wrong way, but it's that same fire that makes him who he is. You don't get that kind of intensity from a guy who doesn't care. And if you know Philly fans, you know they'd rather have a player who's too fiery than one who's indifferent. That's just the culture here. Raw emotion, accountability, and a hunger to win at all costs. Now let's get into the final stretch, because there's something really interesting brewing with this Eagles offense, and it's all tied to one name, Kevin Patchello. I'm telling you, this man might have discovered the cheat code that has defenses spinning in circles. It all starts with how the Eagles are lining up, and if you've been paying close attention to their formations, you can see it. Patchello and this coaching staff are playing chess, while everyone else is still setting up the board. You probably remember that game against the Minnesota Vikings, right? The Eagles came out in that 11T look, one running back, one tight end, and an extra tackle on the line. It's a formation that can go either way, pass or run, and that's what makes it so deadly. Against Minnesota, the defense brought that safety down to help stop the run, thinking they were ready for what was coming. But what happened? Boom. Jalen Hurts hits Devonta Smith for a 79-yard bomb over the top. That's Patchello's genius right there, setting a trap. He made the Vikings think they had the right read, and then he flipped it on them instantly. Now fast forward to the Giants game. Same formation, same look. But this time, the Giants decided they weren't going to get beat deep. They kept both safeties high, expecting Hurts to air it out again. And that's when Patchello hit them with the twist, a run straight down their throats. The blockers sealed the edge perfectly, the linebackers got swallowed up, and suddenly it's Saquon Barkley one-on-one with a defensive back. That's a matchup Saquon's going to win 10 times out of 10. He breaks through, and by the time he hits the 50, Devonta's already raising his hand in celebration. That's when you realize this offense has defenses in a lose-lose situation. If you drop a safety down, Hurts and those wideouts are going to torch you deep. If you play back to protect the pass, Saquon's going to gash you on the ground. Either way, Pachelo's scheme is cooking you alive. That's not luck. That's layers. That's preparation. That's knowing exactly how teams react to tendencies and using that knowledge against them. It's football IQ on another level. What's wild about all this is how perfectly it fits the personalities on this team. Jalen Hurts thrives on adaptability. He doesn't just want to dominate physically. He wants to outthink his opponent. And this system lets him do exactly that. One week, he's throwing deep bombs to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. The next week, he's reading the defense, calling audibles, and turning a pass-heavy look into a ground-and-pound clinic. It's like watching a conductor lead an orchestra. Everything works in sync, every player in rhythm, every movement with purpose. You can see how it's changing Saquon Barkley's game too. For years, teams stacked the box against him, daring the Giants to throw the ball. But now, behind this offensive line, and with Hurts keeping defenses honest, Saquon finally gets those open lanes again. He doesn't have to fight through 3 defenders in the backfield. Instead, he's getting downhill, one cut, and he's gone. When you give a back like him that kind of space, you're not just gaining yards, you're breaking spirits. And you know who benefits the most from all this balance? The receivers. Because now, every single snap is a guessing game for defenders. You can't double A.J. Brown without risking Barkley busting loose. You can't crash down on Saquon without leaving Smith open for a deep shot. Even Dallas Goedert is thriving in this setup because linebackers can't afford to sit in coverage. They're too busy worrying about the run. It's a nightmare to defend, and honestly, that's what makes this Eagles team feel different from the rest of the league right now. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments, and let's talk birds. Rumors are swirling in the NFL world today after veteran announcer Joe Buck reportedly made some eyebrow-raising comments about the Philadelphia Eagles. Sources close to the situation claimed that during a recent broadcast, Buck didn't hold back, allegedly questioning the team's chemistry and leadership, a bold move from one of the league's most respected voices. Naturally, the internet exploded. Fans are divided between outrage and amusement, while rival teams in the NFC East are reportedly paying close attention. Could this be the start of chaos in one of the NFL's most competitive divisions? The Eagles have long been considered a powerhouse, and any suggestion that cracks are forming in the locker room is bound to spark debate. Social media lit up within minutes of the comments surfacing, with hashtags trending across platforms as supporters defended their squad and skeptics gleefully jumped on the bandwagon. Analysts are now dissecting Buck's every word, trying to determine whether this was a playful jab or a serious critique that could impact team morale. The timing is intriguing. The Eagles are entering a crucial stretch of the season, and any perceived criticism, even from a broadcaster, could fuel tension in the locker room or, conversely, motivate the players to prove the doubters wrong. Rival NFC East teams, such as the Cowboys and Commanders, are reportedly watching closely, perhaps hoping to capitalize on any potential distractions. Meanwhile, NFL insiders are warning that this might just be the tip of the iceberg, as locker room dynamics can shift dramatically under media scrutiny. Buck himself has yet to issue a statement, leaving room for speculation and further rumors. Could this be a strategic play to shake up the narrative, or has he inadvertently thrown the division into turmoil? For now, Eagles fans are bracing for impact, and the NFC East is buzzing with tension. One thing is certain. Whenever Joe Buck speaks, the league listens, and now, it seems, it's holding its breath. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over, and the ripple effects could extend well beyond the broadcast booth. Could the Eagles rally around the criticism, or will this ignite a full-blown NFC East meltdown? The next few weeks might just provide the answer. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.